With the screeching of tires and blaring sirens, Officer Reynolds watched in disbelief when the stolen tank rolled toward them. As he and his colleagues blocked the street with their cruisers, they braced themselves for a standoff. However, when the thief's voice crackled over the tank's radio, the chilling demand left them horrified. The thief's demand echoed, sending a shiver down Reynolds' spine as he continued, "Give me what I want, or I'll roll right over you." When Officer Reynolds heard that a tank had been stolen, he couldn't believe it at first. What type of person would do such a thing? All units were immediately dispatched and given a location to gather their vehicles. Officer Reynolds had no idea the exact reason for it, but accepted the orders regardless, speeding toward the location. When he arrived, his eyes widened at the sight. An enormous tank stood in front of the squad of various cruisers of colleagues. He certainly had never seen that before. He suddenly felt like he was in some type of movie. This had always been a quiet town. After all, nothing exciting ever seemed to happen until now. Officer Reynolds approached his colleague and friend, who seemed to have arrived before him. "Hey, James, do you have any clue what he is doing? We have him surrounded. Why is he not getting out?" he asked James Harlow. The two had known each other for a long time, so there wasn't any need for formalities. "Hey, Liam, to be honest, I don't have the slightest clue, but Cap knows. I have only just arrived," James said, gesturing to the captain. It was then that the radio of the tank came alive. The crackle began unclear, but as the perpetrator, the man who had stolen the tank, continued, it became more intelligible, horrifying many of the officers at the location. "If you don't comply with my request, I will find other means to get there. If you won't let me pass, I will go through you," Liam heard the voice say over the radio. He paled, seeing the tracks and wheels of the tank turning again, slowly making its way toward the array of cruisers trying to block its path. However, the radio and the man's voice didn't cease. "I am warning you all. I will either shoot to go through you or tear through this neighborhood to get where I want to go. I need to go there." Liam couldn't help but hear the desperation that the man had in his voice when he said the word need. What could this man's demand possibly be? Captain Deacon looked at his officers as Liam approached him, trying to get some light on the situation. He had no idea what the man even wanted, and he was threatening to shoot this police force. "Men, grab your cruiser and get out of the way for this man to pass. We will not advocate for the loss of life for either us or civilians." As soon as the command was given, the officers put their guns away and followed their order, getting into their cruiser to make some space for the tank to go through. Liam, however, still made his way to Captain Deacon. "Captain," he started as the captain turned to look at him expectantly. Liam knew he had to make this quick. "Has he given us any information of what he wants? By letting him continue, might we not endanger someone, as he must have stolen the tank for a reason?" Officer Liam Reynolds asked, but his captain immediately shook his head. "At the moment he is threatening to blow up this force and run through this neighborhood. We will—" But he was cut off before continuing. With a few remaining cruisers still obstructing the path that the tank wanted to take, the driver inside of it had diverted the direction that he was heading in, as the tank had now hit a civilian's car and started to go over it. Captain Deacon looked mortified as he reached for his megaphone, hoping that talking to the driver would stop this needless destruction. Captain Deacon gave Liam a quick glance. "Officer Reynolds, you now have orders to look into the identity of the driver. Get the footage that will identify who this man is, and if he has any past instances that should make us worried," the captain said before shooing Liam away and speaking in the megaphone. "Please refrain from destroying property. My men and I are clearing the way as we speak." Captain Deacon said, as the tank stopped, pondering the words. The tank steered toward the road again as the final cruiser got out of the way. Though the random civilian's car was destroyed in part, this way he wouldn't destroy more, or so Captain Deacon hoped. Though it went against what he wanted to do, Officer Liam Reynolds decided to follow the orders he had been given. He hopped into the passenger seat of the cruiser that his partner had gotten out of the way. "I saw you talking to Cap. What does he want us to do?" Officer Nico Harris said, Liam's partner. Liam turned toward him before he spoke, as his fingers started tapping on the small computer in front of him. "We are tasked with finding out the tank driver's identity, and if he is an immediate threat or not. We won't be able to get him out, at least not without him becoming agitated and his threat to fire from the tank. Cap wants to avoid loss of life at any cost." Nico looked at him incredulously. "So he is just going to let him continue with driving that tank around this neighborhood?" he asked, and Liam nodded. "For now, until he has more information about the perpetrator. He is keeping a close eye and has anti-tank equipment, but seems to want to use it as a last resort." Liam noted he had seen one of his colleagues, Captain's partner, hold it during their discussion. Under the dim glow of streetlights, Liam and Nico arrived at the military base, their mission clear: to uncover the origins of the stolen tank. The base, usually quiet at this hour, buzzed with a mix of confusion and urgency, mirroring the officers' own feelings as they prepared to delve into the heart of the mystery. At the base, they were met with a wall of suspicion. Military personnel guarded their secrets fiercely, viewing the police with a mixture of disdain and caution. Liam's attempts to bridge the gap were met with bureaucratic stonewalling, a dance of red tape and reluctant cooperation that hinted at deeper rifts between the two entities. Frustration mounting, Liam, with a voice both calm and compelling, laid bare the gravity of the situation, his words painting a picture of potential chaos unspooling in the quiet streets of their town. Nico, backing him up, underscored the dire need for immediate action, their combined earnestness slowly melting the military's icy front. Their persistence paid off. Finally, a grudging nod from the base commander opened the doors to the surveillance room. Inside, rows of monitors cast a cold blue light, and as they sat down, Liam and Nico felt the weight of the task ahead, sifting through hours of footage for a clue, a face, anything. The first glimmers of truth emerged from the flickering screens, a shadowy figure, methodical and precise, bypassing security with an ease that suggested inside knowledge. The officers watched, transfixed, as this ghostly intruder moved through the base, a specter leading them closer to understanding the how and why of the tank's disappearance. The footage unfolds like a silent film, revealing the thief's meticulous approach to the heist. Liam and Nico, eyes glued to the screen, observed each movement, each decision, unraveling the tapestry of the crime. The thief, skilled and deliberate, seemed to know exactly where to go, what to avoid, crafting more questions than answers in the officers' minds. Armed with snippets of the thief's visage, Liam and Nico turned to the latest in facial recognition technology, casting a wide net across criminal databases. The software, a whirl of algorithms and data, churned through countless faces, seeking a match in the vast sea of identities. A digital hunt for a needle in a haystack. Tension hung in the air as the computer beeped, a name flashing on the screen. The match was unexpected, a face known not for crime, but for its ordinariness, a regular in the community. Liam's brow furrowed in disbelief, while Nico leaned in closer as if to challenge the truth staring back at them. Doubt and uncertainty swirled around them as Liam and Nico cross-referenced the match. The thief's identity was confirmed, yet it made no sense. This was a person with no history of violence, no criminal record, a puzzle piece that didn't fit the grim picture they had been painting. With the suspect's identity in hand, they delved into his background, uncovering layers of ordinary life. Yet, beneath the surface of normalcy, they sensed hidden depths and unspoken truths that might explain why a seemingly average citizen would orchestrate such a daring and dangerous theft. Back at the station, the air was thick with anticipation as Liam and Nico presented their findings to Captain Deacon and the team. Each detail, each revelation from the military base was laid out, constructing a narrative that was both perplexing and alarming, drawing the team into the labyrinthine puzzle of the tank theft. Gathered around the dim glow of the briefing room's screens, the team dissected the footage frame by frame. Each officer brought a different perspective, a different insight, piecing together the choreography of the theft like detectives at a crime scene, their collective expertise shining a light on previously unseen details. Experts were called in, psychologists and profilers who delved into the mind of the perpetrator, searching for motives in the shadows of his actions. They spun theories and possibilities, each more intriguing than the last, painting a picture of a man driven by unknown forces, a puzzle wrapped in an enigma. Captain Deacon, a seasoned chess player in the game of law enforcement, listened intently, absorbing the information. His mind worked like a precision instrument, strategizing, calculating the next move in this high-stakes operation, aware that each decision could tip the balance in this delicate standoff. The room buzzed with activity as the team prepared to liaise with other agencies. Information flowed like a river, shared across networks and departments, a collaborative effort that underscored the seriousness of the situation. In this web of communication, every piece of data was a potential key to unlocking the thief's motives and preventing further chaos. The quiet in the room was palpable as Liam announced the name, Richard Davidson. A collective murmur rose among the team, each member processing the revelation that the man behind the audacious theft was, in fact, an ordinary citizen, known more for his mundane presence than any hint of criminality. Dive into Davidson's past revealed a life devoid of any criminal activity. His record was as clean as a whistle. This fact only deepened the mystery as the team pondered how a man with no history of lawbreaking had suddenly orchestrated such a bold and dangerous act. Captain Deacon, a man accustomed to making tough calls, found himself in a peculiar quandary. Here was a peaceful man, a non-criminal, thrust into the role of a felon. The captain weighed his options, knowing that the usual tactics might not apply in this unprecedented scenario. After much contemplation, Captain Deacon decided against a show of force. He understood that the situation was delicate, possibly a cry for help rather than a violent outburst. His strategy would be one of empathy and understanding, a path less traveled in the field of law enforcement. The team shifted gears, transitioning from a tactical response to one of negotiation. They pored over Davidson's profile, seeking insights that might help in communicating with him. His clean record suggested a man possibly pushed to the brink, not a hardened criminal, shaping their approach to be one of dialogue rather than confrontation. In the nerve center of the operation, Liam and Nico huddled over maps and live feeds, their eyes tracing the slow, deliberate path of the tank. Every turn, every stop was logged and analyzed, the officers acting as navigators in a high-stakes pursuit, trying to predict Davidson's next move in this dangerous game. Davidson's driving, a peculiar mix of cautious and determined, became the subject of intense scrutiny. Liam and Nico watched for patterns, for any sign of intent in the tank's meandering journey. Each movement was a clue, a piece in the puzzle of understanding what drove Davidson to this desperate act. Alarm bells rang as the tank's lumbering silhouette neared a residential neighborhood. The potential for civilian involvement heightened the urgency, casting a shadow of concern over the team. Liam's voice crackled over radios, alerting patrol units, while Nico's hands flew over keyboards, coordinating the response to this new development. The team, now a flurry of activity, attempted to decode Davidson's trajectory. Why here? What drew him to this neighborhood? Maps were scrutinized, theories floated, and questions asked as they sought to unravel the intentions behind this seemingly random direction. Suddenly, Davidson's tank veered off the main road, its massive treads rumbling towards a specific house. The turn was deliberate and intentional, sending a ripple of curiosity through the team. Liam's voice was steady, yet puzzled over the comms. He's stopping at a house. Does this address mean something to him? With urgency gripping their hearts, Liam and Nico raced towards the residential area, their vehicle weaving through the streets. Each second felt stretched, filled with a mixture of dread and determination, as they neared the location where Davidson's tank, an incongruous giant in the suburban landscape, had come to a halt. From a safe distance, the team watched, eyes fixed on Davidson's home. The tank sat silently outside, a steel behemoth out of place amidst the quaint houses. Inside the command center, questions flew. Was this a personal connection, a target, or something else? Every movement was scrutinized for clues to Davidson's intentions. The atmosphere was tense as the police prepared for any eventuality. Negotiators stood by, their words potentially the key to a peaceful resolution, while tactical teams readied themselves for a confrontation. The balance between dialogue and action was delicate, each officer keenly aware of the stakes at play. Time seemed to slow as the team waited for Davidson's next move. The tank, now silent and still, became the focal point of countless gazes. Each officer held their breath, waiting for a clue, a gesture, anything that might reveal Davidson's plan or state of mind. Abruptly, the tank rumbled to life, its engine breaking the tense silence. Davidson maneuvered it away from the house, leaving without incident, his actions defying the team's expectations. Confusion and relief mingled in the air as they watched the tank retreat, the puzzle of Davidson's visit adding another layer of complexity to the unfolding drama. In the command center, a hushed conference ensued as the team re-evaluated their approach. Davidson's unexpected behavior at the residential area had thrown their predictions off course, prompting a swift recalibration of their strategy. Every possibility was reconsidered, every angle explored, as they sought to stay one step ahead in this unpredictable game. With renewed focus, the police units shadowed the tank, maintaining a vigilant but discreet distance. Each turn of the tank's massive treads was monitored, its path a moving target on their screens. The chase was a delicate balance of caution and readiness, a silent dance between hunter and hunted. Inside their vehicle, Liam and Nico delved into the mystery of the tank's stop at Davidson's home. What was he looking for? Why there? Nico pondered aloud, his mind racing. Liam, equally baffled, suggested, maybe it's not about what he did, but what he didn't do there. It's a message, a clue. The team struggled to make sense of Davidson's abrupt departure from the house. Why show up and then leave without a word? Liam mused. The lack of confrontation, the absence of communication. It was as if Davidson was playing a game only he understood, leaving behind a trail of questions. As the tank resumed its journey, the team continued their vigilant pursuit. Every street it traversed, every corner it rounded was carefully logged and analyzed. The officers, eyes glued to their screens, searched for patterns, for any hint of Davidson's endgame in this enigmatic chase. Liam and Nico ventured into the heart of Davidson's neighborhood, knocking on doors, seeking insights from those who knew him. Each conversation, a mosaic of memories and observations, slowly filled in the gaps of Davidson's life. The neighbors' words painted a picture of a man known but not truly understood. A familiar stranger. The officers spoke with a mix of friends, colleagues, and casual acquaintances, each person offering a different shade to Davidson's character. Stories of his kindness were interspersed with hints of quiet, unspoken worries, as if Davidson had been living two lives, one seen by the world, the other a private battle. Amidst the hum of suburban life, a narrative of struggle emerged. Davidson's family, once the picture of normalcy, had been quietly grappling with unseen challenges. Financial woes, whispers of health issues, a litany of stresses that had been simmering beneath the surface, slowly chipping away at the family's veneer of stability. Back at the station, the team pieced together the testimonies, a jigsaw puzzle of a life under strain. Each account added depth to their understanding of Davidson, the man behind the tank's controls. His image, once a blank slate, was now a portrait of complexity and conflict. A neighbor's offhand comment about an ambulance at Davidson's home a week prior struck a chord. It was an anomaly, a piece that didn't fit the mundane pattern of daily life. This detail, seemingly minor, rippled through the investigation, suggesting a new avenue of inquiry, a possible key to unlocking Davidson's motives. In the dim light of the briefing room, a picture of desperation began to emerge from the collected data. The team, poring over every detail of Davidson's life, started to connect the dots, leading them to a profound realization. The pieces of the puzzle were aligning, revealing a motive far deeper and more personal than any of them had anticipated. The revelation hit like a thunderbolt. Davidson's actions were driven by a father's love. His young son, bedridden and fading, had harbored a simple yet poignant wish: to see a real tank. This wish, innocent yet impossible under normal circumstances, had propelled Davidson into the realm of the unthinkable, blurring the lines between right and wrong. Captain Deacon stood at a crossroads, the weight of decision heavy on his shoulders. The new information about Davidson's son added layers of complexity to the situation, tugging at the threads of empathy and duty. The captain was torn. How to uphold the law while acknowledging the heartbreaking desperation of a father's love? The revelation reshaped the team's view of Davidson. No longer just a perpetrator, he was now seen as a desperate father, driven to extremes by circumstances beyond his control. Sympathy began to temper judgment as they grappled with the human story at the heart of this extraordinary situation. With a newfound understanding of Davidson's motive, Captain Deacon contemplated a response marked by sensitivity and care. The strategy had to be nuanced, balancing the need to uphold public safety with the compassion stirred by Davidson's plight. It was a tightrope walk, requiring a blend of tact, empathy, and resolve. The tank, an unwieldy beast of metal, came to a halt outside the children's hospital, its presence casting a shadow of both awe and fear. Inside, Davidson sat motionless, the standoff a silent cry in the cacophony of sirens and tense negotiations. The situation was fraught with tension, yet there was no hint of violence, only a palpable sense of desperate hope. Amid the tense standoff, a small, frail figure was wheeled out of the hospital, Davidson's son, eyes wide with a mixture of wonder and weakness. As the boy's gaze fell upon the tank, a fleeting smile danced across his lips, a dream realized in the most bittersweet of circumstances. In that moment, the standoff was forgotten, replaced by the innocent joy of a child's wish fulfilled. With his son's wish granted, Davidson slowly emerged from the tank, his movements deliberate, resigned. His face, a canvas of relief and sorrow, told the story of a father who had traversed the moral abyss for the love of his child. Ready to face the consequences, he stepped into the embrace of the law, his sacrifice for his son's fleeting happiness complete. The police, moved by the poignant scene, approached with a gentleness uncharacteristic of such standoffs. There was an unspoken understanding, a shared humanity that transcended the roles of law enforcer and lawbreaker. The arrest was made, but with a compassion that honored the extraordinary circumstances, a testament to the force's empathy and discretion. As the story of the tank and the desperate father concluded, reflections abounded on the lengths a parent would go for their child. The consequences of Davidson's actions rippled through the community, a reminder of the complex tapestry of human emotion and the profound power of parental love. It was a story that would linger in the minds of all involved, a poignant blend of duty, desperation, and love.